amazing film, wasn't it, 40 Acres? Ooh, honey, I'm still processing that mess. Anyway, hey everybody, I'm Carla Renata, and I am so happy to be here, and I can't wait for you to meet the producer, lead actress, and matriarch of the Freemans. Please give a warm welcome to who you all know is Haley Freeman, Miss Danielle Deadwyler. I didn't write it. This is a great intro, but I didn't write it. I'll take credit for it though. Oh, Danielle. So I'm gonna share with Danielle I'm gonna share with y'all what I shared with Danielle. When I told someone that I was doing this Q&A with her, and I said it was around the film 40 Acres, they said, or otherwise known as, "You don't mess with Danielle Deadwyler."
I'm a sweetie.
Yeah, right. We saw that is not true, Diva. Don't try it. So this film, which I didn't know, is inspired by a novel by Dwayne Alexander Smith, right? You're like, yes, okay. So, and it explores some very powerful and timely themes. So how do you think this film and Haley's story contributes to the broader landscape of Black and brown legacies today and the themes that we see played out in 40 Acres?
Oh, goodness. Well, RT wanted to delve into what a Black and Indigenous family looked like in the future. He said that he hadn't really seen that in the films that he, witnessed up until then. And so he wanted to bring in what it means to survive. We're talking about a group of people who have lived through a kind of apocalyptic now, an ongoing apocalyptic life, right? Thinking about American history. And so what would they know? The most fundamental thing, they would know food ways, cultural ways, the engagement with the land, and spiritual components. So I think about all of those things coming into play and how the family, right there at the end, we can see the traditional nature of the food, right? And Galen's character being utterly and completely pissed at preservatives being in his house. The books that they were reading, talking about Parable of the Sower and the Proletariat's Pocketbook, that's talking about cultural ways. And so just combining all of that and applying that to how they're trying to rear the family. That's applicable to now and thinking about histories that are being marginalized, completely erased in our current landscape, and the ways in which we have lived and the ways in which that informs and essentially gives the foundation to American cultural practices. That's what he, hints at what we're trying to get into and what we're essentially fighting for in the film and fighting for now.
That's the truth. I remember seeing this at the Toronto International Film Festival last year, and I remember you guys walking out, and RT is from Canada, so it was a special kind of thing for him. But as I was watching the film, I was reminded that the last 3 films I've seen you on, this one included, the other 2 being Till and The Piano Lesson. Yes, give it up.
Hey y'all, just FYI, Highlands in the building. Who they cooking? Hello, darling.
Thank you for that shout out. Hey darling, how you doing? I'm good, thank you for asking. So, you have a tendency to be drawn to really strong, spiritual Black women. Is that one of the things that drew you to playing Haley and executive producing this film?
A small component. Anytime I get to fight and beat up wrongdoers, evildoers, something needing to be expressed with regard to my rage. I think that I was connected to the notion of the land as well. It was a thing that was happening in my personal life, right? Like considering my family history in the land that I grew up going to visit at my grandparents in Athens, Georgia, and just thinking about those kind of just like very austere but beautiful ways that they lived in. Like 40 just came at the right time because we were on a whole nother path and the strike had happened. and we got the film got a waiver, and I was like, well, let's ride. And me and RT connected, and it came to be.
I love that. Now I also know that you're a mom,
Oh, yeah.
and so do you think you know where I'm going? So I know that you're a mom, and Manny, baby,
Look,
was one of them kids that you just like you kept telling him don't, and he did every time you turned around. So as a mom, what kind of mommy sensibility did you bring to Haley? And you know, I know that your real life situation with your kid is very different than what
Right.
you're portraying on the screen.
Right.
But what kind of mommy sensibility did you bring to this to make her just a little more real than she already is?
See, the thing, Haley has this militant background that is integral to how she's running the show, and you know, apocalyptic, like extreme apocalyptic life, right? And so there's a kind of my way or the highway. It ain't even a highway; it's just my way. You know, there's no negotiation about it. And I, on the other hand, am much more of a facilitator. What would you like to be? Okay, let's talk about this. There's discipline, and yet there is, I know that children have to rear themselves in a kind of way. There's an independence that they need in order to float to who they want to be. And in this case, Manny couldn't, and she was completely denying that because peril is that much more heightened. I think that there's peril with regard to children today, specifically thinking about black kids stepping out into the street and what could possibly happen. So I'm pushing the books too, and I'm pushing the artistic exploration, all of those things. I just think that we just on two sides of the coin with it. But the hardcore nature of Haley had to be applied in this situation.
I just want to flip back a second to something you said. You said you filmed this during the strike?
Yeah, we did.
What was that like? Because it was such a surreal time for people that were members of the Screen Actors Guild to not be able to write, to not be able to act, to not be able to participate in a way that one feels is normal. And then here you are on a set where all of this is surrounding you. How do you deal with that?
Utter and complete privilege, right? Like you just, it's a privilege to do it anytime because you know that, to be a working actor is a select group of people, right? Sometimes for a variety of reasons, but to be able to go and do this work. It's an independent film at the end of the day, and we're supported through studio in the latter part. But it is completely and utterly beautiful. It is a privilege to work with cast and crew. We were in the north of Toronto. Beyond Toronto in Sudbury. We saw Aurora Borealis. I didn't see it. The cast, other crew saw it because I had to go to bed. But we're like that far north to that kind of cosmic thing is happening. I'm like, I ain't been up here yet. I thought I had to go to, Iceland.
Right.
But it's just a privilege to be a part of these spaces in a nature kind of a way, a human kind of way, and just be able to tell stories. That's what we want to do. And so I was happy to be up there.
So I know for a lot of your other roles, you usually have to train, mentally to some point to get into the world of that character. But this required a whole kind of different type of physicality that I haven't seen from you quite often. So I wanted to know what your training was for this. And in particular, there was this one moment where you were on the ground and you had your legs wrapped around old boy's neck, choking him out. I'm like, how do you train for that?
I don't even know how I do what I do. That's a problem. No. I didn't have a whole lot of time to jump into this. Maybe about 2 weeks or whatnot. But we had a great stunt crew who was there to really get the choreography and movement together. I tend to try to stay ready and have had a number of roles that employ the usage of guns. Thanks, Brad. And it's just an accumulation of things that I have done over the course of my artistic career that kind of just married at that moment. Like at the end of the day, you work with what you have. That's what indie filmmaking is, working with what you got. And expanding it as much as you possibly can. So you just lean on the crew, you lean on the cast, and I think we did that.
Now, as an executive producer, how much you're like, I am. Because this isn't your first time doing it, you've done it before.
No, I've done it before. Yeah, it just entails creative input, a more rigorous creative input, to make sure that the story is being told in a rich way, in a deeply, examined way, to catch the holes and whatnot, to be able to interface and make amendments as we go along that are critical. I think that that's pivotal in telling stories the way they need to be told, that have a more detailed and specific, eye to them.
I want to ask this, and I want to look down so I make sure I get it right. In the film, freedom is portrayed as the ability to live in full truth, to access land without fear, and to prepare and consume food without scarcity or shame. Is it the power to control your narrative, cultivate your land, and feed your own family important is now as important as what you guys were portraying in the film? Because we're on the cusp of actually possibly living that reality.
It's ever present. I think a whole lot about Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler, who, Lena's character references, reading it, and Haley says, we'll do the book report on that too. But I listened to it again in preparation for the release of 40 Acres, and it's Octavia knew what was happening. There are strange things in that text that are paralleling what we're experiencing now, that parallel what the Freemans are experiencing, and it's just important that we always, at the end of the day, are striving to be together. I think that's most critical. Do we have food? Do we have shelter? Do we have each other? And that's what Haley wants. That's what I think we all want and deserve.
There were a couple of things that you said that I loved. So there was a moment, and I'm not sure if you said this or somebody else said this, where it was said, don't confuse what's done in God's name and God. I think it was the same.
Augusta said that.
Yeah. So I just want to know, on the other side of this project, what does that mean for you now? Because when she said that, it struck me very viscerally.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know yet. I think I'm gonna have to puzzle that one a little more.
It's deep, and I would understand that. There's another one that this made me laugh out loud, because my mother says this all the time: work now, because you can rest when you're dead.
Yeah, that's a rough one. We need rest. I am actively trying to live a more balanced life, even in the midst of such chaos and turmoil. We are of no use to anyone if we are tapped out. And there are all kinds of ways to be influential in activating change. And so I think there are some folks, because of the history of the country and the way our bodies and figures have been perceived, are ones that are overly laborious, right, or overly giving. And I think everybody needs to, particularly thinking about Black women's efforts, especially in this film, like how much has Haley given, even at the point of injury at the end of the film. Don't help me, right? Like that's debilitating to the figure of Black womanhood and Black motherhood. And so taking the chill pill is critical.
That was a very powerful moment at the end of the film, where there's that montage where we don't hear the dialogue at all, and we just see everybody, doing their part to bring the dinner together, and then you come down those stairs, and even in sitting there at the head of that table, you can tell by the look on your face that it's just really difficult for you to sit there and let somebody else take charge, because Manny has finally stepped up to the plate, as you've continuously, requested for him to do throughout the course of the film. Which brings me to this, as we're talking about family. I have never, ever seen a film that had a Black and Indigenous family. And I bring it up for this reason, because not that long ago, there was a Cheerios commercial. Y'all remember that Cheerios commercial with the biracial family, and they snatched it off the air because it was a biracial family? And now we have a feature film that has a blended family of different races. as somebody who was a part of that, how special was that for you? Because when I saw it, I was like, oh, this is really cool.
I mean, it's probably the best, it's just one of the best things. I learned so much from everyone on set. Like, you think the presumption is that, you know, the professionals come and, you know, me and Michael Gray Eyes. No. We're learning from everyone. I'm learning from Haile. I'm learning from Lena. I'm learning from Katim. It's brilliant to be a part of making that, you know, cinematic family, but also the artistic family. I learned so much about indigenous practices and languages from Michael Gray Eyes. A critical thing that sticks with me is him teaching me the term for love in Cree, which is kasagatin. And it's not just romantic love, it is love in general. Is about enabling one to grow, enabling one to see each other, or to see yourself. And so those kinds of things are what stuck with me about what it means to be in that kind of cultural blending and building of family.
Did you guys rehearse at all, or did you kind of just, because it is an indie film, you don't have a whole lot of time?
That's a beautiful thing of being the executive producer. We finna rehearse. Like, if you don't, what are you doing? You know, you need it. It's critical. So I made a point for those things to happen. Yeah.
Good. I also, since you brought up Michael Gray Eyes, I want to talk about him a little bit. He's such I want to say an underground actor, because you see him in a bunch of stuff all the time, and he kills it and knocks it out of the park every time. What was it like for you to be able to collaborate with him? Because he seems lovely.
He's just brilliant. He's so lovely and so wonderful. I mean, to reveal all like that physicality and that action scene that he has, that was crazy. This is the lighting dynamic, and he's just a brilliant, mellow and giving thinker and giving actor, and it just showed the beautiful dynamics of a couple that can balance each other. He is just as masculine as he is feminine in it, and they switch, and the partnership is brilliant. He's like, I am definitively allowing her to lead, and in a, you know, the protection, security dynamic, and he is leading in the food ways and the cultural ways and the herb ways, and so he is very much a reflection of that as a person, as much as he is in the portrayal game.
Thank you for that. As we wrap up the discussion, everybody here has some idea of what they're going to tell their friends about that the takeaway is from 40 Acres, but what do you want to tell them about what your takeaway is from this film?
Oh, I don't want to take away from their takeaway. Leave your takeaway in your box, and your takeaway warm, and you can deliver it to whom you wish.
And we're going to leave that alone. We're going to leave that right where it is. And closing it out, I want to say again that my name is Carla Renata. I want to thank Miss Danielle Deadwyler one more time. Give it up for her. And all of you that joined us tonight, be sure to pull out your phones right now. Pull them out. I want to see them. Pull them phones out right now. And tell everybody that you know to run and go see 40 Acres in the theaters. It opened today, y'all. Did y'all know that it opened today? It opened today. So use the hashtag 40 Acres, and tag @Magnolia Pictures to spread the word about this amazing film. We appreciate y'all so much for coming out and for staying to hear this conversation with Danielle. Thank you so much, and good night.